Good morning. Good morning. It is 8 o'clock on the dot on a Thursday morning, and we are tracking Hurricane Helene getting stronger now in the Gulf of Mexico and moving toward the Florida Peninsula over the next probably half hour, 45 minutes, hour time. We'll figure it out. We're going to track our local impacts, what Central Florida should deal with, what our friends in the Panhandle may be looking at, and of course, answering your questions, your comments, and your concerns. For those of you that were around yesterday, you'll be happy to know my laptop is fully charged. Marquise is in the Weather Center, so you and I are going to spend some time together. I have nothing else that could distract me. I say that as I'm sitting in the newsroom. But first, let's just kind of get an idea of what's going on in Central Florida right now. A live look on our Tower Cam network. There's the Orlando International Airport still open for business, though there are some delays starting up. The tourist district, a cloudy start to the day. Downtown Orlando, seeing some areas of rain, certainly around Central Florida, but thankfully nothing too strong. All right, let's get a look at the very latest statistics for Hurricane Helene. 8 o'clock intermediate advisory is in. It is a now Category 2 Hurricane Helene. Maximum sustained winds are at 100 miles an hour. The pressure has dropped to 960. That pressure continues to drop, which tells us that the storm system is still getting stronger. But notice it's moving now to the north-northeast at 12 miles an hour. So its forward motion is picking up and its intensity is picking up as well. The latest forecast cone from the National Hurricane Center still keeps it well removed from Central Florida. That's the good news. That said, though, it does have a very large wind field, and thus there will be impacts felt here in Central Florida. Category 2 storm now. By 2 p.m. today, anticipating this becoming a Category 3 storm with winds of 115 miles an hour and making its way right toward the Big Bend Panhandle corridor of North Florida. One thing that is remarkable, I think, with this storm system is when we look at the forecast cone a different way. When you look at the forecast cone with advisories, you get an idea, not just the sheer amount of people that are going to be feeling some form of impact from this, but also the amount of people that could be dealing with hurricane conditions. So let me change the cone around here and show you. In red, those are hurricane warnings. Communities in red, including Tallahassee, including Panama City, for example. I'll zoom this in and just kind of give you an idea. Communities, though, in red here, those are spots that could be dealing with hurricane force wind gusts. That does include part of Marion County, okay? Back closer to our area, the rest of us, under those blue colors, those are tropical storm warnings, meaning that tropical storm wind gusts are expected. And new this morning, we also have a tornado watch posted for essentially all of Central Florida, but basically it's Central Florida minus Flagler County. I wouldn't write Flagler County out. More than likely, it'll just get extended. That tornado watch goes until 8 p.m. Okay, so that's kind of where the storm system is right now. Let's go back to the satellite. I want to show you that pressure for the 8 o'clock intermediate advisory is at 960 millibars. Let's look live at the Hurricane Hunter recon data, and you can see 963, 962. So the storm is deepening, and we think it is getting stronger. So what does that mean community by community? Let's start with our western spots, okay? Let's start here in Sumter, Lake, Marion, Polk counties. Winds are going to run 40 to 50 miles an hour with gusts running 65 to 75 miles an hour. That Western Marion County area, certainly the spot we think could get into those hurricane conditions. Worst weather in the metro tonight, running 30 to 40 with gusts 45 to 55. Could see 1, 2, 3 inches of rain. And along our East Coast communities here, okay, running about 35 to 45 miles per hour. They closed Port Canaveral this morning because of those winds. I'm sure it will open back up tomorrow, but certainly you can very clearly see that those impacts are going to be felt. So how does this play out timeline wise, right? The one tool that I think has been doing just a fantastic job has been our Futurecast model. And let's just kind of start this off with Futurecast around 10, 11 o'clock this morning. Okay, there's a look 11 o'clock, notice our winds picking up 30, 40 mile per hour gusts. This is gusts that you're looking at numerically, of course. And then 11, 12, 1 o'clock, we start to see some feeder bands move through. And as each band moves in, those gusts pick up. I would also say that, like with the model showing areas of rain, don't pay attention to necessarily the colors as much as just the fact that there's some of those banding features around, okay? 11 o'clock tonight, Futurecast showing hurricane conditions around Ocala with strong tropical storm conditions from the metro off to the west and decent tropical storm conditions for the metro off to the east. Overnight tonight, could continue to see that through about 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And then by about 6, 7 o'clock tomorrow morning, the breezes really drop off. The wind gusts drop off. The torrential downpours start to clear on out of the area, and we look better and better and better. Um, while this is not going to be an Atlantic coast event, I do want to point out that storm surge is still a thing, really from about Flagler Beach northbound. Could see a 1, 2, 3 foot rise in surface water conditions there. But in addition to that, on the west coast, the Hurricane Center is forecasting 15 to 20 foot rising conditions there, right in that Big Bend. So that is certainly a concern. When we look at the current water levels, starting to see some minor storm surge around Key West, the Dry Tortugas, and certainly the rest of the Keys. But as the winds start to shift around, we're going to see those water levels rise. Fort Myers, water levels have come up about 2 feet or so. Again, this is all tidal based as well. So we're starting to see, but as the winds start to turn more direct onshore for places like say the Everglades and back over to Fort Myers Beach, and then further to the north, we've got all these tidal gauges getting into like Tampa Bay. Right now, the winds are not favorable, thankfully, for tide concerns and storm surge concerns, because it's kind of running parallel. But once those winds shift, which they will, and they'll push water into Tampa Bay, that's going to grow worry for residents that live there. And if you don't know, Tampa Bay, super susceptible to storm surge flooding. Okay. All right. So that's kind of where we're at right now. I'm gonna take a pause and open up the discussion, because there's 3,500 or so people watching on our various platforms, and I want to make sure we can all chat. All right. Loyalty 365 on YouTube's asking, how bad will it be in Orlando, and can it still shift more west? The potential of shifting is always there, but this is a forecast cone that really should stay fairly certain. As a matter of fact, it has stayed fairly certain. Look at the last 5 forecasts from the National Hurricane Center. That red line is the current one. The orange line is the last track. And then yellow, green, and blue being the oldest. There's only been about a 45-mile shift over the last 24 hours' time. But if we just look at the last 2, from 11 p.m. last night to 5 a.m. this morning, landfall is essentially the exact same spot. Where it goes after landfall has shifted perhaps a little bit, but the cone did not shift at 5 a.m. The landfall point is still very much dialed in. And because of that, I'm not worried about a significant shift. Could it lean a little more to the right? Certainly, that's a possibility. That's always a possibility, right? But the overarching concern is very much not in Central Florida. Look at the wind threat product, for example, for Apalachicola, Appalachia Bay, for Tallahassee, even into Valdosta, Georgia. We're talking about hurricane conditions. In our area, highlighted in yellow, those are the tropical storm force winds. We expect tropical storm force winds for our entire area. We expect the strongest tropical storm force winds to be in western Marion County, bordering on hurricane conditions, which is why western Marion County is under that hurricane warning. All right. So to answer your question, I'm not concerned about a shift, because I don't see that being a major player in kind of our setup. Okay. All right, so Kim's asking, what's the tornado concern for Central Florida area? All right, so let's get into that a little bit. Today, the Storm Prediction Center has placed us under a level 2 out of 5 risk for scattered, strong to severe storms. When we look at tornadoes, The idea is there will be several tornadic cells. Do they develop into something? We'll see. I actually think, for our friends and family at WJCL up in the Savannah, Georgia area, notice they're looking at the potential for many tornadic cells. So it's higher there, but still with us in our area. So as a matter of fact, let's look. We looked at the FutureCast model through our area, but let's switch around and let's look at the tornado parameters on FutureCast. And basically, this cuts out the rain, doesn't look at the wind, it just looks at the shear in the atmosphere. And through lunchtime, we're not seeing any colors. So, an isolated pocket, but nothing significant. The atmosphere doesn't really work that energy in until about 7, 8 o'clock. Notice around Hillsborough County, Pinellas County. I'll bring it full screen so that you can see it better. Hillsborough, Pinellas into Citrus and Hernando counties. That's where we start to see that shear working in, right? 9, 10 o'clock getting into our western areas, right? Into 11 o'clock. That's like the peak, at least atmospherically, for the rotation. And then 12, 1, 2 a.m., it starts to move out and clear on out. So, do I think that we'll probably have some tornado warnings here? Absolutely, I do. Selfishly, do I hope that it stays outside of Central Florida? Sure. But I think that atmospherically, we know how this goes. There is that tornado watch posted until 8 o'clock tonight. And I would say, furthermore, being that we're on that right side of the storm system, that just puts us into that higher shear environment where tornadoes are a threat. Usually weak in nature, but tornadoes are a threat. So to that point, let's just take a look. We haven't looked on our broadcast this morning to the live radar. So this is our first warning live Doppler radar. And just notice we're actually nice and pretty quiet. There's kind of that first little swath of rain. You can see it lifting up toward Disney World, right? Further to the south, though, south of Frostproof around Sebring on our Lake Placid area, that's the next wave of very heavy rainfall coming into our radar's purview. I'll switch over to the National Weather Service radar, and we see very clearly here around Clewiston, on the southwest side there of Lake Okeechobee, there are 2 tornado warnings. So let's just kind of look at it. Glades, Hendry County tornado warning in until 8:30, 8:15 in Hendry County. So tornado warning there. I'm just going to look, and I just want to look and see on the different radar sources. Yeah, so that's Melbourne. There's Tampa. Yeah, and then Miami. Let's see. Yeah, so you can very clearly see near Clewiston. You see that red and green. This is using the Miami radar. The red and the green there. That's where we're suspect. And if we pop into the debris tracker, not really seeing much, but yeah, definitely rotation there. So already seeing that rotation happening. Let me just tap over to our Tampa radar and you can kind of see, yeah, that line will be lifting up. So it's going to at some point move into Central Florida, and thus, of course, we'll have to at least be very closely watching those cells. So yeah, I do think that we absolutely have the threat for tornadoes. All right, let's see here. My mom is supposed to report to work in Summerfield for a 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. shift. Should she go in early or plan to stay? I don't want her driving in the worst of things. By 8 o'clock, I would say by 8 o'clock, we're definitely getting into some of that rougher weather, right, Jessica? Let me just pop up the future cast here. I'm just going to scroll right to 8 o'clock tonight. I mean, there's 8 o'clock. We're gusting in that like 30, 40, 50, even 60 mile per hour range. So to that point, again, pay attention not to the colors of the rain, right? Just the idea that we've got the squally weather is enough. Computer models are guidance, not gospel, but it's telling us squally weather with gusty winds. So, Jessica, if that's a worry, then that's a worry, right? Probably best to just figure out plans and not be on the road at that point. Okay. Alex says we will get through this. 100%. I don't think that there's anyone that's questioning that. We know we're going to get through this. It's just going to be a rough day, and so I want to make sure that at least everybody understands kind of the threats. Joe says, you're the best. There are other clowns that hype this stuff. I can't control the other clowns, but I'll do my thing. All right. Good morning from South Carolina. Woke up to a tornado. Yeah, there have been some squally weather up by you as well. Luna's asking, how likely is it for a tornado to develop in Brevard County? I'm not going to get into like more likely one county versus another because that's just a fool's errand. I would say you're under a tornado watch, which means you have conditions favorable for tornadoes. Our future cast is trying to say basically Orlando West has a higher opportunity for that, but we all have that threat. So we need to all be very cognizant of this, okay? All right, let's see here. Should we go to our doctor's appointment this afternoon? The weather gets rougher this afternoon, so I guess wait and see. If you feel comfortable, then that's one thing. If it looks like it's going to be rough, then I would be surprised that doctors would be seeing folks later in the afternoon as the wind field really starts to pick up. I'll tell you, my son has a doctor's appointment this morning, and I do not see a cancellation for him. So yeah. All right, sorry about that. When will we start to see stronger rains in Central Florida? So again, as I was just showing on our radar here is quiet, but look just south. We've got that wave of heavy rain around Arcadia, frost-proof. This is our live radar, and you see that band of activity lifting up, and the brighter greens show some significant wind speeds in there. So yeah, we're getting that heading our direction. Just give it a little bit more time, and it'll get here. Okay. All right, let's see. I'm just, we're going to be into answering any questions that you may have. James is asking, is it no longer forecast to hit as a Cat 4? No, the National Hurricane Center at 5 a.m. shifted their intensity forecast down just a little bit. Though I got to be honest with you, look at the last few frames here on that satellite imagery. It looks to me like it's trying to clear out an eye. Which continues to show that strengthening will play out, right? Let's see here. MCO and DAB update. So, as I understand it, the airports are open, but the FAA is starting to delay things just a little bit. Abby says, I'm sorry about the cruise. Yeah, I mean, the port's closed today, but things should be back to normal tomorrow. So, there you go. Arlena Lee says, Southern Lake tornadoes are my fear. So, let's pay attention today, particularly this afternoon into tonight, okay? But, really all day today. Arlena, I understand that tornadoes are a fear. When I was younger before, the reason I got into weather, Arlena, was because I was afraid of weather as a kid. And so, the better I understood it, the more I felt comfortable. And so it's my goal that I can help you, Arlena, feel more comfortable. I would say that there's a threat today, but have a way to be warned. The Wesh 2 mobile app, hashtag shameless plug. The Wesh 2 mobile app is a fine way to get warnings. You've got all kinds of different weather apps, weather alert, radio. People don't really use that as much, but those are good ways to do it. But yeah, there's a reason that there's tornado watches posted. But I would also add that. Um, looking at the atmosphere, the tornadoes with situations like this are typically very weak. And so that's the good news, okay? All right, that's the good news. Yeah. All right. Tiffany's asking, what time does it look like it'll be passing through and when will it be done? So I would say that our worst weather is this afternoon. Okay, here's an easy way to look at it. When does the worst weather start working in? This is just let's boil it down. If you wanted to pick a time frame to be home, areas in yellow, basically Orlando to the south, early afternoon, by about 2, 3 o'clock, be home. That's when it's going to start to get rougher. The green areas, Orlando North, after about 3, 4, 5 o'clock, that's when the weather's going to start to get rough. So there's your delineation. When will the worst weather start arriving? In yellow, early afternoon. In green, mid-afternoon. Okay, we tried to be just as clear and easy to understand as we possibly could have. Yeah. Michael says GFS showing another hurricane into the panhandle next week. Is that possible? Anything's possible, but I don't want to focus on anything but the storm at hand. Going way out there, it's just going to be what it's going to be. All right? All right. Everybody's talking about looks like a shift east. Everybody's saying looks like a shift east. The National Hurricane Center's forecasting, these are the last 5 cones, and there has been no shift east at all with the current track or with the last track at all. There has been no shift. The National Hurricane Center's forecast has been just zeroed in. Now, do you want to look at the cone and kind of see where the storm system is? All right, this is the forecast cone. It looks to me like it's really right in the cone. I mean, you know, if you've watched me a long time, and certainly we don't usually have over 4,000 people on Coffee Talk. So to all of you that are new, welcome. Hi, I'm Eric. I am anti-hype. I'll sit here and we'll talk. But I'm just going to tell you right now, like I will not buy into any hype crap. So I don't see a shift to the east. You see this? That's the cone from the Hurricane Center. That's the satellite imagery. I'm not seeing a shift east. Could that happen? Could there be a little bit of a jog to the right? It's possible, but this is a very large wind field, so our overall impacts should be the same, okay? All right, let's see what other comments do we have here. You can see the shift in the radar. Again, let's just take it easy here, okay? They're like tops. They're not going to move in a straight line. It doesn't work that way. They're spinning inherently. So there's going to be some wobbles. But what you watch for is you watch to see if there's any trending east versus wobbling east. Okay? We have got to keep our head on straight with these things. It's so easy. What I'm amazed with is when I post a model or something and somebody sees like one frame of something and they're like, "Did you see that?" One frame, people. Let's keep calm here for goodness sake. All right? All right. How is Friday night football looking for tomorrow? It's looking fine. Maybe a little breezy, certainly muggy, but it'll be fine. Okay. Let's see here. Please give us a time frame for tomorrow. We have boating plans tomorrow afternoon in Merritt Island. I would say that tomorrow afternoon it will still be breezy, but it should not be to like any sort of a dangerous level. This is such a quick moving storm system that it will be in and it will be out very, very quickly. So, in terms of a timeline, we've had some of these showers, but later this morning, the next couple of hours' time, we're going to start to watch some of those stronger squalls moving in. And then, yeah, by this afternoon and this evening, that's when those severe concerns start to grow. All right? Does that sound good? Can you show the ensembles and the models? Toby, if I'm honest, bud, if I'm honest, I can show some models, but I'm not going to get into ensemble. It's all we're within 24 hours of landfall, so there's not a huge need for that. But yeah, we can look at some models together. Okay, so 6Z is the most recent the 6Z is the most recent run. So we'll start with the FutureCast run, and I would just add that our FutureCast model has been further east than most every other bit of guidance. All right, but let's zoom in here and just kind of get a camera view that we like. All right, so here's through time on our future. All right, so there's our FutureCast model. FutureCast is trying to put some hurricane force winds into Marion County, and you see it's a little further east. It's almost in the exact spot that Idalia made landfall, okay? So that's our FutureCast model coming ashore around 9, 10 o'clock tonight. Again, I would add our FutureCast model has been an outlier for the last couple of days, for the last couple of runs, I should say, really. All right, here's the American GFS model. 60 runs. So it's the most recent run. All right. And we're going to run it through time. And it's bringing it in right where the Hurricane Center is bringing it in, keeping hurricane force winds scraping extreme western Marion County. That's the 6Z run of the GFS. Let's go to the 0Z one, run. I just want to compare 0Z GFS, yeah. So maybe this 6Z run is a little further east on the GFS model. Let's look at FutureCast and compare the 6Z to the 0Z. All right, so there's landfall for FutureCast. Yeah, so I mean, it's fairly close. European, let's look at the 6C run. All right, here's the European. Yeah. So again, the confidence in the models seems to continue to grow. So if there's going to be a shift or anything, I don't think that it's going to be a hard right turn or anything like that. There's nothing that's really saying that. For us, I'm concerned with the stronger wind gusts. I'm concerned with the tornadic threat, those sorts of elements. All right. Wobbles are going to wobble. Britt says, so the wobbles, do they bring stronger winds closer? Or no, they could. But again, there's this expectation for us. This expectation, truthfully, this expectation is here that we're going to get strong tropical storm force winds, 40, 50, 60 miles an hour over the entire area, and western Marion County, 60 to 70 or so mile per hour wind gusts. So a wobble here or there is not going to completely change this forecast. Okay, very, very important to keep our perspective on this. All right? All right, lots of comments, and I apologize. We're up to almost 5,000 people here, so I'm not going to get to I'm not going to get to every comment. And I apologize. But DJ JD says, "Holy smokes, one pixel is more purple than the other. Seems reasonable. Just calm down." Right. Don't split hairs here. And I think it's very important to remember computer models are guidance, not gospel. It's guidance. It's up to us to interpret them. They are simply math equations. They are not people with experience. And that's where it takes a level head to look at the data and to interpret the data. So I beg you not to look and start freaking out about anything. Okay? All right. Maria says, so what time do you think I'll be able to fly tomorrow? Oh, thank you, my dear. Because it's moving so fast, Maria, and I'm sorry that I'm not going to be able to be with you for that, but because it's moving so fast, watch how by 7 a.m., gusts are in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range. And by 9 a.m., gusts are in the 20 to 30 mile per hour range. So the real gusty weather backs off by 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. So I would say that by actual sunrise tomorrow, those gusts will be in that 15, 20, 25, 30 mile per hour range, depending, of course. So a little gusty, sure, but those will be significantly lower. Danielle is asking, will it be stronger than Irma in Orlando? No. This is not a hurricane major hit for Orlando. It's going to bring some squally weather, and we could get into strong tropical storm force gusts. Can't rule out a hurricane force gust, but this is not going to be a strong hurricane hit for Orlando. I cannot underline that enough. And for those of you that may be asking, then why are you guys on TV right now? The answer is this is still an impactful storm system, and don't confuse coverage with hype, because I think that it's very clear the tone that we're taking is to inform you, right? Tone is everything. Us being here to let you know, guess what? We work in news. That's our job. But you guys are hyping. Or are you misinterpreting? Because I feel like everything I'm hearing from us is just to let you know what's going on. Letting you know what's going on is our responsibility. Okay? I just want to make sure to clear that up. Okay? All right, let's see here. Ba, 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 ba. Atlanta flights will be affected tomorrow. Yeah, probably. The good news, though, is that those Atlanta forecasts have really backed off. Yeah. Alyssa says the possible shift east I've seen people talking about is from the Weather Channel app radar, where it looks like it's leaving the cone east. That might be what people are referring to. If it is, it frustrates me. These are situations where computer models are just math equations. Some of them are going to do better than others, but you can't look at it and read into it as being gospel. You can't look at it, read into it as being, oh, hey, there's something happening. You're looking for trends. You're looking for model trends, not just flip flop. You know, the flippy floppy, you don't want that. That's not going to do you any good. Okay. I've been covering these things too darn long to be completely caught off guard, right? Understand what the guidance is telling you. Okay. Just so that we're all on the same page. Ellie on YouTube says, I love the coverage. It's nice to know what's going on in our local communities. Good. Thank you. That's the way we feel, and that's why we're here for you. And we call ourselves First Warning Weather. There's a distinct reason for that. We want to be here to give you that first warning. We don't want you to be terrified. We want to be with you through any storm system, because if we're here with you, hopefully we can help calm your nerves. Okay? All right. Where are we at here? So is Tampa okay? Heel on X is asking. From a direct hit, it doesn't look like Tampa's going to get a direct hit. But I would also say that looking at the storm surge levels, I do have concern that the storm surge is going to pick up for you. Right now, the winds are running kind of parallel to the shoreline direction. But once the winds turn and come more into pushing water ashore, there is a distinct worry for me that Tampa Bay will start getting into some significant storm surge inundation. And just looking at the storm surge map, Tampa Bay is in that orange shading there, which means that you're looking at a peak storm surge of 5 to 8 feet. I mean, that's whether or not the storm is hitting you, that is a significant storm surge level, right? It's not the highest in the storm. The highest in the storm is 15 to 20 feet up in the Big Bend. But for Tampa Bay to rise up to 8 feet, that's a significant storm surge. Okay? So, yeah. Again, that's why we're in this coverage, because there is such a wide swath of wind, a wide swath of impacts. All right? Can there be a possibility of a last minute shift? Yeah, Ashton, I feel like a lot of people have been asking that, and I feel like I've said this like 17 times. I'm not saying that you've been here the whole time, certainly. Um, there's a very clear path for this storm to go atmospherically. Could there be a nudge one way or another? Sure. But when we look at the last 5 forecasts from the National Hurricane Center, it's been within 45 miles. And just looking at this morning, even the current track and the last track, essentially no adjustment. And the models have been the same way. If we look at, where would that graphic be? Got like 1,000 products, and I'm looking for one, a needle and the proverbial needle in the haystack. Of course, what I'm looking for is to show you the tropical models and the forecast cone. Let me find it here. No, no, no. Hold on. You guys are going to make me work this morning. All right. So here's the forecast cone and the models. If anything, they need to shift their track a little more to the left. Okay? So there's no guidance suggesting that all of a sudden this is going to make a hard right turn. We just looked at all of the other models. The global models are a little more on the right side. The tropical models are a little more on the left side, so the Hurricane Center is going right down the middle. They're doing great work down there, seriously. And we've been talking to the National Hurricane Center this morning on WESH 2 News. We will get them again for another interview, I believe. Becca, when is the next interview with the Hurricane Center? 11:15, we're talking to them. So we'll ask them again. And that'll be after they issue their 11 o'clock advisory. So what'll be nice is we'll be able to ask what heavily impact, if there's any kind of an adjustment, what heavily impacted it. I don't suspect there's going to be an adjustment. They haven't adjusted nearly at all in the last 24 hours time. Chris is asking, what concerns do you see for North Fort Myers? Squally weather, tornadoes, real quick pushes of rain. New tornado warning just issued for Port St. Lucie and White City. So it's like Martin, St. Lucie counties. Yeah, I mean, like at this hour, we're already seeing that squally weather. Let's pop up our live radar again and just kind of see where we're at here. And so 2 tornado warnings issued, one for St. Lucie, Martin, and then one down here into kind of is that Glades Hendry? Yeah, Glades County. Let's just look through some of the velocity channels here. Let's look at Tampa. Oh, yeah. So you can kind of see it here lifting up to the north. And then let's come over here, look at the Melbourne. Yeah. So, there's some of these little pieces of energy will pop up our live radar. Some of these pieces of energy have some spin to them. So this is our live radar. It's going to be shifting in. But in our area right now, thankfully, there's our live sweep. There's just some rain. Good steady rain in Claremont. Let's check just to make sure. Yeah, I'm gonna have to do some more de-aliasing on our radar. When the atmosphere gets like this, I have to make tweaks to the radar. It's not the best, but it is what it is. Oh well. All right. Winter Springs inches of water, Tink's asking. Good morning to you. So, yeah, the good news is we're not looking at a major flooding event. The official forecast kind of calling for 3 to 5 inches of rain, maybe in our western areas, 1 to 2 through the metro. Not an Ian type of an event at all. Yep. All right. Let's see here. Mackenzie says, love watching your coffee talks. You always calm my nerves when there's storms. Thank you. It's my pleasure. And thank you. I have said this before. I'll say it again. I take this responsibility very, very seriously. And it's one thing to earn your trust. It's another to keep it. And I'm going to work darn hard to do both. Okay. All right. What is the trajectory just got on the drive from Tampa area? So we're seemingly right on par. Everything seems to be running well for a Big Bend landfall. All right. Here's the track and the cone. So this is the latest satellite imagery, and there's the forecast cone. And again, it looks like it's behaving itself. Does it want to nudge to the right? We'll see. It looks like maybe a little bit of a jog, kind of to the right. But again, as I've said, these things wobble. And so is that the start of a trend, or is it just a little bit of a wobble? We'll see. I'm not worried. I'm sitting here to tell you the atmosphere really is forcing it between kind of an area of low pressure, an area of high pressure. It's really there's a narrow window where this is going to go. So is it going to nudge a little to the right, a little to the left? Stay the course. 1,000 points of light, right? We've been here before. We're going to be here again. I do find it odd, seriously odd, that people, when it comes to tropics, always look for the possibility of the worst and seemingly get excited about it. The Hurricane Center does a great job. They really do a great job. Justin's asking, does the Hurricane Center put more weight in tropical models or the global models when compiling their advisories? That's a good question. I always say, know what you know, admit when you don't know. I don't know the answer to that. But that I may have to write that down in the book as like when I'm sitting at a conference and I'm just kind of like shooting the breeze with these folks. That's an interesting question to ask. So yeah, it is moving north. Polk, Osceola, Brevard would be first. Okay. Is it Kellyanne and I at 9? Marquise and I at 9. Okay. Huh? Well, yeah. Well, and so think about if we're in a tornado warning, what you want to do. Just do what just sorry. I mean, the producers are taking full advantage of the fact that I'm sitting like 2 feet from them, having their own private meteorologist. We usually are in our weather cubby. It's nice. We get to hide from them. We get to evacuate away from the producers. All right. Let's see here. Terry says, thank you. We appreciate all that you and your team do. Absolutely. It's truly our pleasure. Um, let's see here. Just had kudos to you and Jeremy for your long range forecast. You nailed this one. Thank you, Mickey. Look, I'm not going to say that it's perfect, but it's there. Yeah. Brittany says weather modification. My God, if I had the ability to modify weather, believe me, I would do it. And I would make this thing go away. So there's that. Allison, hey, Eric, is there still a possibility of rapid intensification before landfall? That is the case. We are tracking rapid intensification happening right now. Yeah, so yes, that's very much still the play. Juan says, take us to the green screen. I'm not on TV this hour. Kelly and Marquise are on TV now, and then I will be on the air, it looks like, with Marquise in the next hour. So yeah. Josh is asking about a major right turn. These things, they spin. So don't be freaking out about a major right turn. Oh man. Kenji, thank you very much. I appreciate it very much. They should be turning the news into coffee talk instead. Hey, that's right. We should just do coffee talk on Wesh too. I'll talk for 12 hours straight. I feel like I would kill me. All right. So that's kind of where we're at. All right. Any other questions, comments, concerns? Nana's asking, any news on Port Canaveral? Port Canaveral has closed. I believe it's Condition Zulu is what they call it. It's closed for today. Should reopen, though, certainly by tomorrow. All right. People are asking about the different counties. The different counties. We're all under the threat of tropical storm force winds, okay? All of us are going to be getting winds running 40, 50, 60 miles per hour. All of us are going to be under threat of isolated tornadoes later this afternoon, particularly this afternoon, evening, and then overnight, okay? All right. Listen, I know that this is just a very big worry for everybody, but I need everybody to understand. The overall forecast for this has been very well done by the computer models and by the National Hurricane Center. This should put the worst of the weather into the Big Bend. Tallahassee's metro area is probably going to see the hardest hit from this. But for all of the peninsula, whether you're in Marion or Brevard County, whether you're in Sumter or Flagler County, we're talking tropical storm force winds. Okay, we're talking about strong gusts in these feeder bands. When does the worst arrive? We're thinking early afternoon for areas in yellow. So 11 a.m., 12, 1, 2 p.m., right? And then we're talking about kind of 2, 3, 4, 5 for areas highlighted in green. Okay? So that's where we're at. All right? Do you think flights from Orlando will cancel? I think that there's certainly concern, right? And the FAA just put out another advisory due to the hurricane. Delays are running 15 to 20 minutes at Orlando International Airport. And here's the map, okay? More cancellations. Now 10 canceled flights, 10 delayed flights, 154 on time. So it's very much going to be kind of a case by case basis here. Okay? Sound good? All right. When does the cruise start tomorrow? Tomorrow. So hopefully it'll be open. Hopefully the port will be open tomorrow. All right, Yukon. I can't believe how poorly people's brains process information. Listen. When people start to get worried, they just get into this reactionary thing. So that's why we don't need to be mean, Yukon. We can just calm down. Uh, if it's my job to help people calm down, then I will take it as a badge of honor. Okay. All right. We will be posting, we will be tracking, we will be keeping you up to date. Live team coverage continues on WESH 2 and CW18. All right. All right. For the 5,000 of you that are watching live, I want to thank you for hanging out with us for Coffee Talk. We'll be here every day covering Central Florida's weather at 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to go get ready to do some TV. We'll have complete coverage on WESH 2 and CW18. Thank you so much. Take care. Be the sunshine in someone else's day on a cloudy, dreary, kind of crummy weather day like today.